Hey there everybody, hope you're doing well. My name's Ben, I'm the education coordinator at River Music Experience. And today we're gonna do a little how to restring your bass tutorial. I got this right here is my Fender Jaguar bass here. I have these tape wound strings on here. I got them originally because I wanted to play around with them a little bit. I had heard that they were what Paul McCartney used on his basses back during like the Abbey Road, Let It Be era. And I was just kind of interested in how they would sound and how they work. And I like them, they're cool, but they're not really right for this bass. Like I'm just not really digging them on this. I thought I was going to, and I just think that they don't have enough of a range for what I want this bass to be. So I'm thinking that I'm going to save these and I'm going to put them on my fretless bass. Normally I don't reuse strings, but these have only been on for a few weeks, so I feel like it's going to be okay. And I think they're going to work a lot better on the fretless. I think I'm going to really like them on there. But anyway, long story short, I got a set of these here, these DR Pure Blues strings. We're gonna try these out on this bass. We're gonna see how it goes, and since I have to switch them out, let's learn how to restring. First thing you're gonna wanna do is give yourself a good area to do this with. I have, I make a regular habit of restringing guitars while I'm like sitting on the couch. And I find I have varying levels of success doing that. So I think the best thing to do is if you can just kind of clear off spot on a table to do it. The first thing we need to do when changing the strings is take off the old ones. Kind of a no-brainer there. Some people will loosen these all the way to when they stop making a note, like when they're kind of on there, but they're not, if you pluck them, they don't really do anything. And then they'll cut them off. That's supposedly an easier way to do this. But like I said, since I'm going to be saving these, I'm not going to be doing that. Another thing, if you're doing it this way, where the way I'm doing it here, unwinding the strings, taking them out, pulling them through, you want to be really careful because these edges here can be kind of sharp. So you don't want to scratch up your finish and, get it all messed up. So you want to take as much care as you can to make sure that you're not doing that. All right, so now that we got those strings off, the next step you probably want to do is clean off your bass. A lot of times we get a lot of dust going on under the strings, all sorts of different gross things going on in our bass. Like I said, since I recently put those strings on this one, I have done that, and I don't really feel like we need to do it again right this moment. So we're going to be okay. Although there's something weird going on that pickup there. Let's take these strings, put them on. Now a tool that is going to be very, very helpful when putting strings on your bass is one of these here. Y'all see that okay? Basically all this is it's a string cutter, but it's also got a winder on it. A lot of times you see guitar players with these, but I suggest bass players get them too. It's just a helpful tool for everybody to have. The way we're going to be doing things here today with these strings is we are going to be cutting them and making them a little shorter. So that's where this comes in handy. I know I spent a lot of the time when I was a younger bass player, I would take the entire string here. This is our G string here, so we'll do this as an example. I would take this whole string here, and I would just stick it straight in and start going. And then you get a whole bunch of extra winding going on there. Basically, it gets a little messy. So if we measure, I like to do, if you think about it, as like 2 tuning pegs. So like if we were measuring this from the A here, okay, we'll move it a little bit closer. If we were measuring it from this A here, I would do the length, maybe just a little bit past that G tuning peg. So sometimes people measure this out and get it like real exact. I'm just kind of eyeballing it. So like this string here, we're not going to take a ton off of. But what we want to do is we want to crimp it a little bit. This is to, I've been told this helps keep the core in the middle of the string from slipping and causing the string to be dead. So if we just kind of crimp it here, that holds it in place. And then we'll just go right past it and cut it. And then what we do is we take that edge we crimped and we stick it in the hole in our tuner here. I don't own a guitar with the vintage tuning pegs, but I would assume that the same rules apply for restringing the bass here. As you may be aware with the modern guitar tuners, you just kind of pull them through and then you have all like the extra little antennas sticking off the end that you cut off after you're done restringing. We do the cutting a little bit earlier here when we're doing the bass. All right, so what you want to do is you kind of want to just like, you want to get them strung up so that they're tight. We don't necessarily need to go all the way to the pitch right now because it's going to kind of throw everything off. So we just want to get all the strings on and tight first, then we'll tune them up. As you can see with this bass, we're coming through the end of the bridge here. Sometimes your bass has holes on the back of it here, and that would be a through the body thing. I have a couple different guitars that'll do that. The school of thought around that is that through the body helps with sustain and resonance. But you know, that's maybe when you get a little bit more down the road with your tone chasing. Okay, so again here, we're gonna line this up. Maybe like, we'll bend it right about there. Gets easier after we get past the D. Cut just past the crimp. The thing I really like about this way of doing the strings, as you can see, I'm kind of giving up on the string winder because I have trouble controlling it with the bigger bass tune pegs here. But anyway, the thing I really like about restringing the strings this way is that you get a really neat, clean winding around your bass. That it just looks better. It just looks really nice, and it's going to be kind of a clean presentation that you can look at and be like, oh yeah, there we go. You can feel really nice and proud of yourself. I forgot to mention this with the earlier strings, but you may have noticed as I'm stringing up here what I'm doing is I'm holding the string down as I'm winding. I want each wind of the string to go below the last one. That's going to help. Obviously, with these first two strings here, we have this little string tree here that's going to hold the strings down and get the correct angle on our nut here to bring it down the string. But especially with these two, with our E and our A that don't have that, we're going to want to make sure that we get the string low enough on the tuning peg here to get the correct angle. On a bass like this, where all our tuning pegs are on the same side, we want to make sure that the strings are coming on this side of the tuning pegs. I see sometimes with beginner musicians, they're just putting the strings on and they're kind of doing them every which way, and it gets a little messy. You get a lot of buzzing. Strings can overlap with each other. It messes with your intonation. It kind of does all sorts of different things. Just, this is the way to do it. So yeah, right here, I'm holding down with one finger. I'm holding down the string by the tuning peg, and that's just making sure that I'm keeping it under the last wind I did. It's going to get the string lower there on the tuning peg. All right, last string. We are on the home stretch. When you're identifying these, with our bass strings, it's usually pretty easy because you can kind of look at them next to each other and go, oh, this is obviously the bigger string. This is the smaller one. You can kind of figure out where each one goes. These come in a package where they're all labeled here, so each one's in a separate one that says first string, second string, third string, fourth string. Sometimes in the case of other string brands like Diodario's do this, but they'll have different colors down here at the end of the string, the little ball there at the end of the string. There'll be different colors, and you kind of identify them through that. But like I was saying, with bass strings, you can usually just kind of see. You can figure it out pretty easily. We got all our strings here now. We got them all on. We got a new set all going here. The next step is we want to tune these up. This really helps if you have a tuner. I'm going to get this all tuned up here really quick, and then we'll be right back. We got this all tuned up here, our first initial tuning. The next thing we want to do here is we want to stretch out the strings a little bit. So I will grab the neck like this with one hand, and then with my other hand just kind of reach under the string, right where you'd be like plucking at, and just kind of giving these some good pulls here. We're not trying to break the string, we're just trying to, do our calisthenics here before gym class. And then after we do that, let's tune it up one more time. Once you got it tuned back up again, what you want to do is you want to play it. Just play around with it. I love that new string sound, and I bet you will too. It's a really fun, bright sound. Probably gonna have to keep retuning as you're playing more and the strings get broken in more. You're gonna want to just keep retuning. Eventually, they're gonna do the thing basses do, and they're gonna stay in tune pretty well. This probably won't be an issue for a lot of you who are beginners, because, well, you're probably using light gauge strings. And you're probably going to be putting back on light gauge strings. But there are instances where if we are changing the type of strings we're using, whether they're flat wounds or round wounds or tape wounds like I had there, or we're changing the gauge that we're using, which is basically just if they're light or heavy, how thick the string is. You got to check your intonation if you're changing strings that are drastically different. If you're just putting on the same type of strings you always put on, you're probably not going to need to do this. But if you're putting on strings that are drastically different, you just want to recheck the intonation, check the action on the guitar, make sure everything's good to go. If you don't feel comfortable doing that, find a friend that knows how to do it, or probably a better idea is find your local guitar store, your local luthier, and just pay for a setup. They'll do it really, really well. They're going to do it better than you can. and they're gonna get you playing right. And make sure that everything's set up the way. Because honestly, if you're going in and you've been playing with light gauge strings forever and you're like, you know what, I want to try out heavy gauge strings, and you put them on your bass and then they're pulling on your neck even more than the lighter gauge ones were, so they messed up your action. So not only are they way heavier than what you're used to playing, but the action's way higher than you're used to playing, it's gonna be a painful experience. It's not gonna be fun to do. So you wanna make sure that everything's set up so that you are in the best position to succeed. That's kind of the 101 of string changing. If you have any questions about any of this that I've gone over here, drop them in the comments. I'll watch for them. I'll do my best to answer them. I'd love to know, what type of strings are your favorites? What have you been using? I've been kind of going through this phase lately where I'm experimenting with a bunch of different brands and a bunch of different gauges and styles. And I'm just kind of searching for different sounds that I really like. So I'd love to know, what do you use? What have you tried that you hated? What have you tried that you really like? Drop those in the comments, and make sure to hit subscribe to our YouTube channel here so that, we can keep having fun here, making videos and having a good time. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.